You're listening to Into the Disappearing. I'm Marin Blake. It was supposed to be a relaxing weekend, a family getaway, a few days of peace on the Oregon coast. But on August 9th, 2018, what started as a quiet morning walk turned into a mystery that still haunts a stretch of beach near Cape Foulweather. A woman, mother, teacher, avid beachcomber, stepped out for a sunrise stroll and never came back. This is episode 27. The Tides Took Her. Emily Harrow was 41 years old. She taught middle school science in Eugene. Her family, husband Nate and 10-year-old daughter Lila, had rented a cabin for a long weekend. That morning, around 6:15 a.m., Emily left the cabin with her thermos and camera. She told Nate she was going to collect driftwood and take photos of tide pools. She never returned. Her husband called local authorities by noon. By dusk, search teams were combing the coast. I spoke with Nate Harrow last fall.
She loved those walks. Always said the ocean felt like home. That morning was foggy, but calm. I remember the tide was low. I figured she was taking her time. But by 10 a.m., I knew something was wrong. We found her footprints. They led from the stairs down the bluff, across the sand, and then just stopped. No return prints, no signs of a struggle. Nothing.
The only item recovered during the initial search was Emily's thermos, found upright and closed, 200 yards south of where her footprints ended. A week later, her camera was discovered half buried in sand by a local jogger. It was mostly intact. Forensic techs recovered 6 photos from the memory card. The last image was time-stamped at 6:41 a.m. It showed tide pools. And something strange in the distance. A dark, upright shape far down the beach, blurry, human-sized, too far to identify. The jogger, Callie Moore, described the scene.
It didn't look like trash or driftwood. It looked still like it was standing. When I saw that photo, I got chills. I run that stretch all the time. I've never seen anything like it.
Emily Harrow's disappearance wasn't the first. 2 other women had vanished from that same stretch of coastline. One in 1996, another in 2004. In both cases, there were no witnesses, no bodies, no obvious evidence of drowning or foul play. Each time, a personal item was recovered weeks later, folded neatly or resting upright. Emily's case brought new scrutiny to these old files. Sheriff Tom Griggs of Lincoln County has reviewed all 3.
We've considered rogue waves, sinkholes, even animal predation, but the pattern, it's too similar, too quiet. If the tide took them, it left nothing. No drag marks, no torn fabric, just space. Some locals believe there's something about that stretch of beach.
I spoke briefly with Lila Harrow, now 16, who still visits the coast every year on the anniversary of her mother's disappearance.
There's a spot on the beach where nothing grows. No seaweed, no crabs. The sand's weird, like it's too smooth. That's where I leave flowers. Every time the tide takes them within minutes. I think that's where she was taken.
At 7:08 a.m., about 45 minutes after Emily Harrow is believed to have vanished, her phone received a call from an unknown number. It rang 4 times, went to voicemail, then again at 7:09, and again at 7:12. 3 calls, no voicemails left. Sheriff Griggs requested records from the cellular provider. The calls bounced off a temporary tower used by local contractors working a mile inland. The number was untraceable. A prepaid phone, since deactivated.
We've seen that before. Could be coincidence. Could be someone on the beach or someone watching.
The phone itself was never found. Emily's daughter Lila later said she remembered her mom double-checking that it was in her jacket pocket before she left. Where it ended up? No one knows. A geologist named Claire Mendel volunteered to review coastal erosion patterns near Cape Foulweather. She specializes in mapping cliff collapses and undercut shoreline structures. After examining drone footage and satellite data, she offered another possibility.
There are hollow areas beneath the bluffs, sinkholes, erosion caverns. It's possible, though rare, that someone walking close to the waterline might have stepped into a collapsed seam and been pulled under. But usually, there's some evidence: disturbed sand, a depression, water patterns. In this case, it was all clean.
Clean, smooth, as if the beach had erased its own memory. Multiple locals interviewed during the Harrow investigation reported hearing strange noises along the beach in early morning hours, specifically during fog-heavy days. A deep hum, like an engine without a source. Others described it as a vibration they could feel more than hear, like something large shifting beneath the ground.
It wasn't wind. I've lived here 15 years. I know wind. It had a rhythm like breathing. I don't even tell people that part anymore. Makes me sound nuts.
But 3 witnesses described it separately without prompting. Whatever they heard, it wasn't natural. Months after Emily's disappearance, her sister Rachel discovered an old beach journal in a storage bin in Emily's attic. It spanned 5 years, notes, sketches, sea glass taped to pages. And in one entry from 2014, Emily wrote, "There's a spot near Foul Weather Point where nothing feels right. Like the tide holds its breath there. I've walked it 10 times and always get chills. I've stopped walking past the driftwood tree. I don't know why. Just instinct." The driftwood tree, long gone now, was located 40 feet from where her footprints disappeared. In August of 2023, 5 years after Emily vanished, Nate and Lila returned to the same cabin. They didn't stay overnight, just a few hours. Lila brought a bouquet of sea daisies and a laminated print of the last tide pool photo Emily had taken. They placed them both near the surf line at dawn. A local ranger reported seeing them walk together along the shoreline. And then, at 6:41 a.m., exactly 5 years to the minute since Emily's last photo, Lila turned and whispered something into the fog. When I asked what she said, she paused for a long time, then replied,
I said, "You can come home now."
Whatever happened to Emily Harrow, it left no trace but a single shape in the mist, and questions that don't wash away. Emily Harrow was never found. Officially, her case remains open. Unresolved. The tide may take, but it does not explain. This has been Into the Disappearing. I'm Marin Blake. Next time you walk the beach before sunrise, pay attention to what the waves return and what they keep. Next week, we head inland to the dense pine forests of northern Minnesota. A campground shut down in the 1980s after multiple vanishings is suddenly back in the headlines. When a missing hiker's journal is found buried in a tree hollow, its final page written in someone else's handwriting. Join us for episode 28. You're listening to Into the Disappearing. I'm Marin Blake. This week, we head to the deep green heart of northern Minnesota, where stories go quiet beneath the pine canopy and names fade into moss and fog. In the early 1980s, a small state campground called Fernidge Pines was quietly shut down. No press, no public warning, just a chain on the gate and rumors of missing people. Decades later, a hiker finds a water-stained notebook buried in a tree hollow. And on the final page, someone else's handwriting. This is episode 28, Campsite Mystery. Between 1978 and 1985, 5 people disappeared in or near Fernidge Pines campground. All were reported missing by family or friends. None were ever found. The state attributed the closure to unsustainable trail erosion and bear activity. But locals knew better. I spoke with Eliza Moan, whose uncle Daniel Pike vanished in the fall of 1981.
They told us he probably got lost, but Dan was a Boy Scout leader. He knew those trails, and he left his boots. Just left them by the campfire like he was coming back. He never did.
August 12th, 2023. A backpacker named Tyler Groves discovers something odd. a metal lunch tin buried inside a hollow tree, sealed with twine. Inside, a small leather-bound notebook, water-damaged and stained with time. The handwriting was neat, precise. The entries spanned 4 days. The name on the inside cover, Mallory Reese, a 26-year-old hiking solo through the Fernidge Trail Loop. She had been reported missing in July 2003. On the final page, dated the night she disappeared, was a message clearly not written by her. Block letters, jagged, angry. She shouldn't have stayed past dark. Day 2, got to Site 5. It's overgrown but beautiful. I saw someone on the ridge above. Looked like another hiker, but they never came down. Day 3, heard whistling last night. Thought it was birds until I heard a tune. Definitely a tune, but no one was around when I checked. Day 4, woke up to the sound of something dragging through pine needles. I'm packing early. I don't like it here anymore. Those were her last words. Investigators who followed up on the journal's discovery found a series of worn loops etched into a pine trunk about 200 feet from Site 5. Like something had been tied there repeatedly. A tent anchor, or something stronger. Park Ranger Blake Tiernan, who surveyed the area, gave us this.
There's a tree near the old wash station with deep cuts, like binding scars. We usually see those with game traps, but these were 5 feet off the ground. And old. Real old.
In 1984, an amateur paranormal investigator named Theo Warburg recorded dozens of cassette logs at Fernidge. His goal, document unusual activity. Only 2 tapes were ever recovered, both found inside a rusted lantern near the abandoned ranger cabin. One of them ends like this.
Something's moving on the trail. Tall, pale. No sound when it walks. I tried calling out. It doesn't answer. It just turns and... Long pause. Then, metal scraping. Oh God, that's not a face. The tape ends with a high-pitched tone. Then silence.
The state's final report, dated May 1986, cites inconsistent environmental conditions and unusual soil instability as reasons for permanent closure. No mention of missing persons. But a Freedom of Information request unearthed a redacted memo from the DNR dated 2 weeks earlier. Recommendation: seal off Fernidge Pines campground until further notice. Secondary concern: growing local superstition. Primary concern: unexplained disappearances. 5 to date, risk of public panic. Locals in the nearby town of Alver say Fernidge is haunted by the Whisperer in the Pines. A figure described as tall, featureless, and silent until nightfall. They say if you whistle in the woods after dusk, it whistles back, but it's always closer than it should be. Some say it wears the faces of the missing. Others say it simply waits. Mallory Reese's journal is now housed with Project Echo, the same team that helped identify Carmen Rose Delaney in episode 25. Her family has since placed a marker near the trailhead beneath a plaque that reads, "She saw too much, she stayed too long." Authorities have no plans to reopen Fernidge, and the Pines, time slips, voices echo, and sometimes things lost long ago whisper back. Mallory, Daniel, Theo, the others. Whatever happened in Fernidge Pines, the forest hasn't forgotten, and neither will we. This has been Into the Disappearing. I'm Marin Blake. Next time you hike through the woods, don't whistle and don't stay past dark.
When the night gets bright and the stars align, we stir up dreams in cosmic time. A little stardust, a little tune, you're mixing it with the